New Orleans Saints fans, I don't know about you, but it feels like the air has been completely sucked out of the Superdome with the latest update on Chris Olave. We are officially confirming that Olave is being held out of all team drills and OTAs as he continues to recover from his serious blood clot diagnosis. This is the heartbeat of our entire passing attack, and seeing our most explosive playmaker sidelined creates massive uncertainty for the upcoming season. The more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. My name is Lucas. Please like, subscribe, and comment your name and city below. Let's get into it. The New Orleans Saints are facing a difficult reality as star wide receiver Chris Olave remains sidelined during team drills and OTAs while recovering from a serious blood clot diagnosis. Olave has quickly become the heartbeat of our passing attack, coming off a remarkable season where he recorded career highs of 100 catches for 1,163 yards and 9 touchdowns. This health scare originated during the 2025 season finale against the Atlanta Falcons, and now, 5 months later, the organization continues to prioritize his long-term wellness. According to NOLA.com, head coach Kellen Moore confirmed that this medical situation is the primary reason for his current practice restrictions. Watching such a vital playmaker limited in his development feels deeply concerning for us as fans, especially given his status as our premier offensive threat. Olave has described this entire ordeal as a frightening experience, and he is now focused on following medical guidance to ensure he is ready for the upcoming season. And here's why that's a big deal. We are all holding our breath awaiting his potential return to mandatory minicamp on June 16th and 17. As he enters the final year of his rookie deal, the front office must carefully navigate his immense value alongside these medical concerns. The quiet nature of these internal discussions leaves us wondering about the long-term implications for our roster. If the medical staff eventually clears him for full physical contact, how will the front office reconcile these health risks with the massive financial investment required for an extension that effectively defines the future of our entire receiving core? The tension between his undeniable talent and his medical history creates a scenario that could fundamentally change the trajectory of our offense for years to come, forcing us to ask if he can truly return to the high level of production we have come to expect. The most surprising factor in this medical crisis is that the blood clot stems from a specific vascular incident identified during the 2025 season finale against the Atlanta Falcons. While many fans hoped for a quick recovery after those 5 long months of waiting, the reality is that the New Orleans Saints are treating this situation with extreme professional caution to prevent any recurrence. We must remember that Chris Olave is playing under his rookie contract, meaning the organization is not just managing his physical health, but also calculating the long-term risk of a massive financial commitment for a player who has already proven his worth with those 100 catches for 1,163 yards and 9 touchdowns last year. This is where it gets real because the team has historically seen how quickly a career trajectory can shift when blood-related health concerns enter the conversation. Behind closed doors, Gail Benson and the front office are likely conducting exhaustive internal reviews with their medical specialists to determine if his long-term availability can be guaranteed before they lock in a record-setting extension. They are weighing the sheer necessity of his elite production against the unpredictable nature of his recovery, knowing that rushing him back could jeopardize both his career and the team's salary cap flexibility for seasons to come. While other franchises around the league might be making aggressive moves to secure their offensive talent, our front office is acting with deliberate, calculated patience. They know that our passing attack has no clear substitute for his specific skill set, yet they cannot afford to gamble the entire future of the roster on a player who is still under strict medical supervision. We are left to wonder if the team will lean toward a shorter, incentive-heavy deal or wait for further testing before committing to a long-term future. The stakes for our season are rising rapidly because the chemistry required to execute a high-level offense is being disrupted before the first whistle even blows. This situation matters right now because the New Orleans Saints are essentially flying blind without their most reliable target, and the clock is ticking on our ability to build cohesion during these vital summer workouts. With our passing attack relying so heavily on his precise route running, his absence forces our depth chart to reorganize immediately, shifting the burden onto our secondary receivers who must now prove they can handle increased targets against starting-caliber defensive backs. And that changes everything regarding how we approach our early schedule, particularly our critical NFC South clashes that will define our postseason positioning. Without our premier threat, we risk falling behind in the divisional standings, making every game against the Carolina Panthers and other league opponents a steeper uphill climb. These matchups require a full-strength roster to secure the necessary wins for a playoff berth, and entering those contests with an unproven rotation creates a dangerous margin for error. Furthermore, his contract status creates a complex salary cap scenario for the front office, as they must balance his long-term financial security against the inherent risks presented by his medical profile. If we cannot get him back on the field, the team must decide whether to commit significant resources to a player who has faced such significant physical hurdles. We are navigating a transition that will ultimately dictate our competitiveness for several seasons, and the uncertainty surrounding his availability makes our offensive strategy feel like a delicate house of cards. We need clarity soon to ensure our roster construction matches the ambition of our organization, or we risk losing the momentum we desperately need to stay relevant in a tightly contested conference race this year. The strongest argument for the organization playing it safe is quite simple. Protecting the long-term health of our most explosive playmaker ensures he remains the cornerstone of this franchise for years to come. By managing this recovery with extreme caution, the Saints are prioritizing a human being over a short-term game plan, which speaks volumes about the culture Gayle Benson has established here. Conversely, the downside is equally significant because we are losing precious time to integrate our top receiver into the new scheme. If this medical situation lingers, the rhythm of our passing attack could be stunted well into the start of the regular season. The bottom line here is that the uncertainty is beginning to catch the attention of league observers. Many analysts around the league are now debating if the front office should explore adding depth at the position, specifically mentioning available veteran options like free agents or potential trade targets to bolster the room while we wait. Some suggest that even with his 100 catches and 1,163 yards from last season, the team might need to look at secondary support to avoid over-relying on his availability during such a critical period of his development. Here is where I land on this. I find the speculation about replacing him entirely to be a bit overblown and premature. We are talking about a player who has already proven his worth on the field, and a temporary medical protocol should not force us to panic or abandon our long-term vision. My honest take is that we must trust the medical professionals to do their jobs correctly, even if it tests our patience as dedicated supporters. If we provide him the necessary time to recover fully, we will see the version of him that dominated defenses throughout the previous campaign when it matters most. Looking at the bigger picture, the trajectory of the New Orleans Saints franchise depends entirely on how owner Gayle Benson and her front office manage the future of our receiving corps during this period of medical uncertainty. With the team aiming for a return to championship relevance under Kellen Moore, a long-term contract extension for our star playmaker must balance his 100 catches and 1,163 yards of production against the very real risks associated with his blood clot diagnosis. And honestly, it is natural for us to feel a sense of cautious anxiety as we approach the season, knowing that our primary offensive threat is currently being managed with such extreme care. We have every right to be protective of a young man who has proven his worth on the field, yet we must also recognize that his availability dictates our chances of winning close games in a competitive league. We should feel a mix of hope and measured patience because the organization is clearly prioritizing his well-being over short-term gains, which is a commendable approach to team building. Moving forward, the front office must decide if the financial commitment required for an extension remains viable given the medical circumstances. This decision will define the identity of our offense for several seasons to come. We must remain supportive while understanding the gravity of the situation that Kellen Moore and the medical staff are navigating behind the scenes. If you had to choose between offering a long-term, high-value contract extension now or waiting until the end of the 2026 season to see him play a full, healthy schedule, which path would you take? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Who Dat? I'll see you in the next one.